This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WXCO Daily News Roundup for Bull Falls Radio, 98.9 FM and 1230 AM in Wausau.
For WXCO News, I'm Brittany Merlot. The famed Leinenkugel's Brewery in Chippewa Falls is set to shut down tomorrow, but the Leinenkugel family is hoping for a Hail Mary. Savannah Tomei-Olsen has the story.
Molson Coors announced in November they'd be closing the historic brewery and sending production to Milwaukee. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewery first began there in Chippewa Falls in 1867. The Leinenkugel family is said to keep the Leine Lodge and a small pilot brewery. They've said this last week before the closure is like a funeral. Last weekend, the family, employees, and even retired staff all gathered to share memories. But now they have one last hope. Dick and Jake Leinenkugel confirmed to the Chippewa Herald they're trying to convince Molson Coors to let them keep the brewery under Leinenkugel's leadership. So far, the company hasn't taken them up on that offer, but they're staying optimistic. If it closes tomorrow, 56 people in Chippewa Falls and 34 in Milwaukee will lose their jobs.
And volunteers from the Wisconsin chapter of the American Red Cross are assisting with wildfire relief efforts in California. Lisa Hale has the details.
They're coordinating closely with their partners to provide food, shelter, and emotional support and other critical services. Rock Hill says monetary donations are the best way you can help because sometimes donations of clothing and household items can divert resources away from caring for those affected. A total of 8 American Red Cross Wisconsin members have been deployed to California.
And some Wisconsin residents are not a fan of the Department of Transportation's new winter road condition labels, starting a petition to bring back the old labels on the 511 Wisconsin app. The DOT uses the app to share road condition updates with drivers and recently replaced some of the labels, like ice-covered, with broader ones. They say that the previous labels included conditions that could change too quickly. Critics say the old labels were important for delivery drivers who need more specific updates. On Tuesday, the Wisconsin Supreme Court heard oral arguments in a case that would potentially alter the Department of Natural Resources' ability to enforce the state's spills law and challenge the DNR's classification of what chemicals are considered hazardous substances. The lawsuit was filed by Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce in 2021 and argues that the DNR has not provided sufficient guidance on how it categorizes PFAS contaminants. A circuit court judge and a conservative-leaning court of appeals ruled in favor of the WMC. The state appealed that decision, stating that as this is an evolving issue and the DNR's guidance should be qualified as rulemaking. The Wisconsin Supreme Court will revisit the case today and will consider what authority the DNR should have in its rulemaking process as a state agency. Based on how the court rules in that case, it would expand Governor Tony Evers' rulemaking authority or maintain one committee's ability to strike down rules established by state agencies. And Wisconsin voters see another amendment to the Wisconsin Constitution on an upcoming ballot. Lisa Hale has more.
This one is on the state's voter ID law. With a liberal majority on the Supreme Court, Republican lawmakers want the law enshrined in the Constitution so it can't be overturned. Last week, the Senate passed the measure to add it to the ballot in the spring. The Assembly took up the matter yesterday. This is one of the first things lawmakers chose to take up in the start of the new legislative session. Meanwhile, Democrats say lawmakers should have been working on more pressing issues first, like preventing gun violence.
And the Lac du Flambeau Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Indians Tribal Council has voted that no physical road barricade will be implemented today. The tribe based its decision on its responsibility to ensure safe delivery of services for all residents within its reservation boundaries while continuing to enforce tribal law to ensure the protection of its reservation. Over 80 snowy owls have been observed in Wisconsin this year, which is more than in the past 2 winters combined. Many of them are immature birds that dispersed from Arctic Canada after hatching last summer. These young owls are less skilled, less wary, and more likely to show up in unexpected places, like residential neighborhoods, urban open spaces, and even busy roadsides. While they're exciting to see, try to help these beautiful birds survive. Never approach them too closely. You're too close if the bird responds to your presence in any way, like frequently looking at you, sitting erect with eyes open in your direction, or flying from its perch. And turn off your car engine. Use a quiet voice and do not play audio. And no picture is worth jeopardizing the well-being of these majestic birds. Let's all do our part to ensure their safe return to the Arctic this spring. And a new survey has the state cracking the top 10 in one category. Stuart J. Waddles has more.
When it comes to raising a family, Wisconsin ranks 8th. That's according to a new report from WalletHub. They used metrics like median family income, housing affordability, and school quality to determine the best states. Massachusetts and Minnesota topped the list. New Mexico and Mississippi ranked at the bottom.
And Governor Tony Evers is praising the Wisconsin Health and Educational Facilities Authority for their work supporting nonprofits across the state last year. The agency completed financing for 13 nonprofit organizations in 13 cities, issuing bonds totaling over $550 million. The agency's yearly review estimated that their efforts supported 47 direct jobs and over 3,000 construction jobs. Nonprofit borrowers included various acute care, educational, and senior living facilities. There's a lot of money already flowing the race for the state Supreme Court. Stuart J. Waddles has more.
Announced candidates have released fundraising forms with the race already breaking fundraising records. Susan Crawford says she's got $2.8 million. Brad Schimmel's report shows $2.2 million raised. The race is expected to surpass the previous record-breaking $51 million spent in the 2023 Protasiewicz-Kelly contest. Estimates suggest total spending could reach $80 million.
And as bird flu begins to pop up across Wisconsin, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has announced it will begin rebuilding its bird flu vaccine for poultry to match the current strain. The Wisconsin Department of Health Services confirmed the first positive test in a poultry flock in Barron County in December, soon after confirming the first positive human case stemming from that infected flock, as well as another positive poultry test in Burnett County. State officials say they've been forced to depopulate over 73,000 birds in 3 commercial flocks so far. And legendary comedian Jeff Foxworthy is coming to Eau Claire in March. Tickets go on sale tomorrow. Jeff Foxworthy is best known for his bit, You Might Be a Redneck. He is widely recognized as a pioneer in stand-up comedy, known for his sharp observations on family life and human nature. With a career spanning decades, he has become the largest-selling comedy recording artist in history, a multiple Grammy Award nominee, and the author of more than 26 New York Times bestsellers. His ability to connect with audiences through relatable humor has earned him comparisons to literary greats like Mark Twain. Foxworthy is also known for hosting and starring in popular television programs such as You Are Smarter Than a Fifth Grader. His show is at the Sonotag in Eau Claire on March 22nd. Tickets start at $35. I'm Brittany Merlot for WXCO.
A Packers coach has a job interview. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. NFL, Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley has been invited by the New York Jets to interview for their head coaching position. How did the Packers defense perform under Hafley? Matt LaFleur.
You make the necessary adjustments and you put your guys in position, and then ultimately those guys got to go out there and execute. And I thought Hafley did an outstanding job, and it's not just Haf, it's our entire defensive staff did a really good job with that.
Mike McCarthy interviewed last night with the Chicago Bears. NBA. The Bucks with a win at home, 122-93 over the Orlando Magic. Giannis with 26 points. Damian Lillard led with 30.
You know, one of the main things was pace. Just seeing it on film and seeing how much better my rhythm to the game is and my timing and just my movements are when I get the ball up the floor with pace. It's good for our team, but it's also been good for me.
That's the Bucks' Damian Lillard with sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. If you're looking for some fun indoor entertainment, given the frigid temperatures on the way, here are some movies that might interest you. There continues to be no shortage of horror films, and if that is your genre of choice, check out a new take on the age-old classic Wolfman, starring Julia Garner of Ozark fame. Also opening in wide release is the comedy One of Them Days, starring Keke Palmer and musical artist SZA, which tells the story of 2 roommates scrambling to pull rent money together. At the time of this reading, the film is pulling a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and SZA's acting chops have impressed critics. Coleman Domingo's role continues. The film Sing Sing will be re-released this weekend, and if you happen to be incarcerated, you're in luck as well. The film will be playing in correctional facilities all across America, and that makes sense since Sing Sing tells the story of teaching rehabilitation through the arts and is almost a perfect audience and critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's go to the movies. If you're looking for a trip down TV memory lane and were a fan of the show Twin Peaks, this might pique your interest. The murder mystery drama set in the Pacific Northwest will be available on Blu-ray box set. In addition to all the seasons, there will be 27 hours of behind the scenes and extra features. The box set doesn't officially drop until February 3rd, but you can currently pre-order it on Amazon for a cool $56. Actors work odd jobs to pay rent before their big break. For actor David Schwimmer, one of the gigs included serving divorce papers after his freshman year in college, thanks to his lawyer mother. The Friends actor and star of the new show Goosebumps told Stephen Colbert he once served singer Rod Stewart with divorce papers. Apparently, Alana Stewart, Rod's wife at the time, no longer wanted his body or thought he was sexy. Goosebumps is available to stream on Peacock. Award show nominations are pouring in this time of year. Great movies wouldn't be great movies without a really good script. The Writers Guild of America has announced its nominations for the 77th Annual WGA Awards. Nominations for Best Screenplay in the feature film category include Enora, A Complete Unknown, Challengers, Wicked, and Nickel Boys. The British Academy of Film and TV Awards also announced its nominations for Best Feature Film yesterday, and there was a little bit of crossover. The BAFTA Best Feature Film nominations also included Enora and A Complete Unknown, but not Wicked, Nickel Boys, or Challengers. In addition to Enora and A Complete Unknown, Conclave led the way with 12 nominations, followed closely by Emilia Perez with 11. The fifth nominee, The Brutalist, drew 9 nominations. So many award shows to watch, so little time. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Mostly cloudy and breezy this morning. I think we will see a little more sunshine by later this afternoon. Less windy, too. Our high today right around 30. Tonight, down to 19. Tomorrow, cloudy, breezy, 35. And then, hang on, it's going to get really cold as we head into the last half of the weekend and into early next week. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Temperature now, 30.
That's your WXCO Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at bullfallsradio.com. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.